Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL 950 AM 100.3 FM. And you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. Well, we're talking here about pastoral ministry and different ways people have communicated what may be church teaching, but done it either the correct way or the incorrect way. So let me take this final day of lessons to kind of put all this together. So you're reading on the internet and someone is explaining church teaching, but they're doing it using some, what's the word? Pejorative words. Actually, I think the proper term is the pejorative because that means words. So the pejorative. So they're using very derogatory terms to describe someone. And they're using some very, maybe not nasty, but some very acerbic. There's a word I love. Acerbic terms or acerbic way of expressing what is our Catholic teaching, to the point where they make it clear that there are those who are within the teaching of the church and there are those who are without. They may believe they're good Catholics, but they're not, and these people are in sin and they shouldn't receive communion and Well, if that isn't expressed in a pastoral way where the person can fully understand what we believe as Catholics and why we do what we do, then it really is not done correctly and may be done in a way that offends 1 Corinthians 13, where it's not done in love. And so it comes across as a statement that is like a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. Many organizations that answer people's question online have a tendency to follow in that pattern. They take what these are the rules and this is the way you have to live, but there's no explanation of those rules. So we go back to, that's a red light, you better stop at the red light. Well, why? Because it's the law, so you better do it. No, actually, what is the reason why you're supposed to stop at a red light? Yes, it is the law, but the spirit of the law is that if you go through the red light, you may end up killing someone or doing serious damage to a person. So in the name of loving God and loving neighbor, you have to stop at the red light. That's the reason why. But if people don't explain that and they just become really nasty about it, these are people you have to be aware of and maybe, and not necessarily, maybe take what they said to be accurate, but the way they said it is inaccurate. So that's really an important distinction. And if the way they said it is inaccurate, then they aren't doing pastoral ministry. Pastoral ministry is teaching what is absolutely what the church teaches accurately and in a way that people will understand it in love. And this is something that St. Augustine was very strong about. And this is something you look through many of the saints. Whenever they said you had to correct someone, you had to do it in a way that was pastoral in love. So anyone who is ever nasty about it is being incorrect in the way they're delivering the information, even if the information is correct. Reminds me of a time that someone relayed to me that someone's cat had died, or maybe the cat was going to die. And they went to a priest and said, could you say a prayer for the cat? And the priest, no, we don't say prayers for cats. No, we're not going to do that. And the person, of course, was devastated at being spoken to like that. Well, believe it or not, there are certain prayers that you don't necessarily pray for the cat's soul. I don't think that we have any prayers for that. But we have prayers of thanksgiving to the Lord for your pets and for a pet. And we do actually have that. You can also bless pets, which we do on the 4th of October every year. So you can see that this is and that's done pastorally. So I remember someone came to me one time after I had heard that story. This is probably a couple of years after I heard that story. And they came to me and they were on their way to put their cat down. And the person was in tears. They were absolutely crying. They were absolutely upset because this cat meant so much to them. And said, can we pray? And I said, sure we can. There is actually a prayer in Thanksgiving for our pets. That's perfectly acceptable. And that's all right. See, and that brings up another aspect of pastoral ministry, doing your correct research. If you come out and you describe someone or you answer someone in a very black and white, very nasty, acerbic tone, you haven't done your research, because you need the research to be able to give the right answer that is accurate what the church teaches. And in giving the right answer, you understand how best to communicate it. And I just talked to you about that example there. We're going to talk more on the other side of the break. You're listening to St. Anthony Parish, the voice of St. Anthony Parish, in fact, from Allston, Massachusetts. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. And don't forget our website, CatholicAudiomedia.com, and also the parish website, STAnthonyAlston.org. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com and STAnthonyAlston.org. You can get to the parish through CatholicAudiomedia.com, and there you'll also find our podcast platform. Some of them you'll be able to listen to the podcast, which you can also do at StAnthonyAlston.org, and you can connect to our Substack newsletter and all these things. CatholicAudiomedia.com and or StAnthonyAlston.org. So we're talking about this understanding pastoral ministry. So if you happen to be listening to someone on the internet and you find, you know what, they're being really nasty, then they're really communicating to you in a way that is incorrect. Maybe I could give you an example that might be helpful, because people bring this up all the time. Fulton Sheen. Fulton Sheen was very direct about the way he communicated, but he wasn't nasty. You never found it. You found him being straightforward. You found him saying this is the way it should be. He's found the way in teaching. You found the way he was telling people what to believe, but he was never nasty. And other times you might find someone being nasty or being, this is the truth and you better listen to me because I have the truth. And there isn't a really good communication there, and it almost leads people to get turned off or feel nervous or feel hurt by any of those words. You want to be able to explain everything you're saying in a way that is good. Now, some people are explaining the Catholic faith or maybe talking about different issues in the Catholic faith in a way that's blatantly sinful. They maybe use terms that would be labeled within the context of detraction, which is to say something bad about another person that isn't necessary. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, the latter is designed to encourage you to turn on that other person. That's the way it's designed. So they will use words that may or may not be accurate that are specifically designed to get you to turn your heart against this person. So, say, for example, you have a teacher you don't like at school. We'll just say hypothetically, some of you might be teachers. You have a teacher you don't like at school, and that teacher gave you an F. And you deserved an F, and you turn to someone else and saying that teacher is a rotten teacher because I got an F from that teacher, and she's going to give you or he's going to give you an F too. So make sure you tell people have nothing to do with that teacher, and every time she tries to speak to you, you just ignore her. Well, what am I doing there? I'm saying things that are bad about the other person to encourage you to follow my instruction and turn on that other person. Some people will do that in regards to the church. And is that a sinful act? Of course it is. That's very sinful. Yet there are people, even within Catholic media, that will do exactly that, and that's sinful. What you want to do is always speak the truth in love, but you also want to be able to, if need be, speak pastorally. That teacher there gave me an F. I suppose I could have worked harder. I don't agree with the fact that I got an F, but that teacher gave me an F, but leaving you the opportunity to say, well, have you spoken to the teacher why you got the F? No, but I shouldn't have got an F. Well, you know what? Go speak to the teacher. See, that's a whole different way of responding, a whole different way of the original and responding. But if you're finding someone who is doing everything they can to get you to think a certain way and using nasty terms or nasty tones or everything else, then that's a warning sign, because we should always communicate in love, and we should always communicate pastorally when we need to. And pastorally is explain to someone the truth in a way they best understand without being nasty or without being ridiculous. We'll talk more on Monday. Have yourself a blessed day. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.